Hello, and welcome to another edition of Coffee Talk with immigration attorney Brian D. Lerner. This particular video is peripherally and in the future very directly related to immigration. It deals with those people who were basically either following Bernie Sanders and or those people that are fed up with the political system. As a matter of fact, what brought on this video was I saw a story on the news a couple days ago, and it had two groups of people. One, it had Latinos for Trump, and then it had the group of Latinos that believe that Biden will not properly address their concerns and have decided not to vote. So I wanted to address both of those issues in turn. So let's start with the group of Latinos that don't believe Biden will address their concerns, and because of that, they're essentially protesting and not voting. Let's think about what's going to happen. First of all, you know that the Latinos have a very large block of people that can vote in the United States and they can sway the election. They are very important to the outcome of this election. So you have to ask yourself a simple question. Would you rather have Biden or would you rather have Trump? That's the simple question. Nobody gets everything they want in a candidate. That's just how it is. If you love the candidate, I guarantee you there's someone that hates the candidate. If you think the candidate's going to do everything under the sun to help you, I guarantee you there's people that think the opposite, and there's people in the middle and so forth. So it comes down to who would you rather have as president. Now, I understand the protest vote or the protest non-vote. I understand that. But not voting in protest is a win for Trump. It is a vote that essentially goes to Trump because if you had to pick between Biden or Trump and you don't think Biden is going to properly address your issues, you know Trump is not. You know that for a fact. I mean, he spent umpteen hours on television to determine how he's going to fund and build a wall that blows over with the wind. Okay. He lies up and down about how he is going to basically get to his base, and he vilifies the Latinos. I mean, it's just shockingly embarrassing what he calls them, how he addresses them, what he claims that they do. He doesn't see 2 seconds past his face on the fact that there are tons of educated Latinos from all over the world that they have started and continue running businesses in the US, that they immigrate and help the economy of the US. It goes on and on. And to vilify them to appease his racist base is just the beginning of what's going to happen if he gets back into office. Now, I understand that if you, for example, liked Bernie Sanders and you believe he'll do more for you or would have done more for you than Biden, that might be the case. He might be more apt to try to engage in programs to help Latinos and so forth. However, you, you have to look at Biden because number one, he's fair, and number two, he's in the middle, and number three, he's not going to sit up there and lie up and down about everything every day, and number four, he's not going to vilify the Latinos. So he will bring you to the table. He will discuss and try to get people on both sides of the aisle to enter into legislation to help. He will look at DACA. He will look at the path to citizenship. He will look at immigration reform. But when it all comes down to it, it's not just the president that deals with this. I mean, there has to be laws that are enacted by Congress that then are signed by the president. And in order to get them enacted by Congress, you can't be completely on one side or completely on the other. It doesn't matter, who's in control of the House. You have to get some kind of bipartisan agreement to go forward. And that's what Biden's going to try to do. So when you get bipartisan agreement, you will have to admit that you can't get it all one way and you can't get it all the other way, because bipartisan agreement is simply a compromise of both factions in order to make it happen. So I am urging those Latinos and those other people who decide they're going to protest and don't care, and they're going to say, I'm not going to vote because I can't stand either candidate. Just ask yourself a simple question. If one of two people for sure is going to be in office, Biden or Trump, who would you prefer? Who would you prefer? It can't be, I don't want anyone, because somebody's going to be running the US. So if you want your voice to be heard, vote for Biden and then start writing your senators and congressional representatives and calling them about your concerns and what you want done. That's the way a real democracy works, not the way it's happening now. And I guarantee you, if Trump gets into office for another term, his off the rails trying to turn our country into an authoritarian regime to basically do whatever he wants to appease the racist base will just continue and get worse and worse, because he's going to know that there's nothing he can't do, that he can't be stopped, and that the senators, the Republican senators who are now, with Justice Ginsburg passing away, and them completely changing position, and McConnell's explanation that, well, it's different now because the Republicans are in the White House and the Senate, makes no difference. Okay, makes no sense as to the reason as to why he would not put Obama's pick in the Supreme Court. Previously. I mean, they're just totally abolishing the democratic principles of fairness and of allowing a president to pick who the people pick, the Supreme Court justice. So it's just going off the rails here, and you have to help us. Everybody has to vote to get Trump out of office, so that number one, democracy stays democracy and it doesn't go down a path that is darker than it is now. So I urge you not to do a protest by not voting. That is only going to help Trump, and that is only going to hurt you later on. So hopefully, I've convinced some people to take action and vote, even though it's not the best candidate you want. And even though you won't get everything you want, it will absolutely be better than it is now. And it will stop our country from descending into a dark place that we don't want it to go, so that Joe Biden can bring our country back from the brink, can enter into international agreements again, can make our country rise again to be the beacon of hope that it was prior to Trump getting in, and that can make the United States a democracy for the whole world to look at again, so that we can all go forward. Okay, thank you.